Mohammed Afzal with this as well, and talk about how the risks of these disasters can be mitigated. Now, General, this NDMA site reads, preparedness mitigates disasters. Take us through what stages, what steps have been taken to mitigate disasters in the case of Pakistan specifically.
Marshall, thank you very much. You would understand that South Asia in general and Pakistan in particular is affected by the climate change. And as you know that this climate change has almost changed the pattern of rains and flooding in the subcontinent. First of all, we need to understand that we might not have the urban flooding, and we might have the urban flooding nowadays, especially in the cities which are located on the banks of certain rivers. Especially if I talk of Pakistan, it could be Lahore, it could be Gujrat, it could be Jehlum, where you might not have the flood coming from the river. It might be coming as an urban flood, which is a result of the measure which we have been doing. For instance, in most part of Pakistan, what has happened is that all the natural flow courses of water have turned into sewerage courses. Similarly, now these have become a kind of dustbins, or all the things are being littered into those in a manner that no water flows out. As far as preparations are concerned, as somebody has already highlighted, that the preparation cannot be taking place right at the onset of monsoon.
Right.
But let me tell you that unless we have short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans, we will not be able to overcome these phenomena which are happening in subcontinent. And these strategies, long-term, we will have to manage our floodplains. In medium terms, we will have to manage our population, which is growing in all these countries in a manner that which is not being controlled, which is not being regulated, and that is causing problem. In short-term basis, what we need is community mobilization. The other problem which subcontinent countries are facing is that we have number of departments. Some of these departments are dysfunctional. There are overlapping responsibilities, and probably they are not able to perform their functions properly. Recently what we have done is that we are trying to create a coordination both top to bottom and bottom to up. And in that, what we are doing is that NDMA in its own capacity is mobilizing resources. We have a greater kind of coordination with the PDMAs, DDMAs, and we have also mobilized our communities in the areas which we feel that these are more vulnerable.
Right.
Similarly, what we have done is that in parallel, we have spoken to Pakistan Army for the help, and we have mobilized our aviation assets. But at the moment, what I am really worried is not the riverine floods, but it is the phenomenon of urban flooding as well as cloud burst, which you must have seen in Kashmir area, where we had almost 200 millimeters of rain in about 2 to 3 hours and caused the devastation.
Right. Lieutenant General Afzal, before I move on, I do want to know the procedure of all of this. Now, as technology is becoming more sophisticated, and now as more and more governmental organizations, other organizations are paying attention to the issue of climate change and how these unexpected disasters are upon us and extreme weather patterns, what happens to warn communities around these areas, those that are vulnerable? What's the procedure like?
Well, I would explain you, first of all, the coordination which is taking place in various government departments and agencies. For instance, we are in direct communication. At the moment, there is a National Operations Center in National Disaster Management Authority, which is in direct communication with the Pakistan Met Department, Federal Flood Commission, Emergency Health Services, and also with the Operation Room of Pakistan Army. Beside, it is also in communication with the regional PDMAs, those are working in various provinces, and DDMAs of all those areas which have already been identified as vulnerable areas. We not only send the warnings, we send the instructions laterally, but it also goes vertically downward. And we are also in communication with the media authorities, which normally disseminate our SMS service in the areas which are likely to be affected by flood. For instance, last to last week, you must have seen that in Chitral, we were expecting a glacier burst. So we had already warned that community through local SMS service and local FM radio.
Right. Right. And on that thought, Lieutenant General Mohammad Afzal, let's pause what needs to be done in terms of protecting